Fusion Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
Okay, so now we'll be looking at the various aspects of the brain. As I said earlier, we have the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. The forebrain. The forebrain is made up of it is made up of the cerebrum. Aside from the cerebrum, it's made up of the olfactory lobe, the cerebrum, the olfactory lobe, the thalami, the hypothalamus. Are you with me? It's made up of the cerebrum, the olfactory lobe, the thalami, and the hypothalamus. The difference between thalami and hypothalamus is the word hypo. Hypo means below. So hypothalamus is below the thalamus. Are you with me? And don't forget, hypothalamus links the nervous system with the endocrine system. What then is the cerebrum? The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. It is the largest part of the brain. It is made up of hemispheres, from the left and the right hemisphere. The left and the right hemisphere are covered by a band of fibers called the corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is a band of fiber that covers the right and the left hemisphere. The outer part of the cerebrum is called the grey matter, while the inner part is called the white matter. What then are the functions of the cerebrum? It controls voluntary action. Voluntary action, things that you actually thought of before doing movement, voluntary action, jumping, singing, controls voluntary action, and it is also the seat of intelligence. It has everything to do with intelligence. The fact that I'm intelligent today is thanks to the cerebrum. And so the next on our list is the olfactory lobe. Olfactory lobe has to do with smell. It picks the sensation of smell. It is connected with smell. It is located anteriorly at the forebrain. Then we have the thalami. A thalami is a two-oval structure that is attached to the back of the brain. It is attached to the back of the brain. It is a two-oval structure attached to the back of the brain. It is a seat of consciousness or awareness. Oh, I am aware that I'm supposed to go to that place. And that's the thalami that is working, the seat of consciousness and awareness. Then lastly, we have the hypothalamus. The word hypothalamus means below the thalamus, below the thalami. Thalami is plural, thalamus is singular. It is the main control center for automatic nervous system. Anything that has to do with automatic nervous system, it is the main control center. As a matter of fact, it has a lot to do with homeostasis. We looked at homeostasis earlier and we said it is the maintenance of a constant, fairly internal environment. Anything that has to do with temperature, look for the hypothalamus. Anything that has to do with alertness, sleeping, look for the hypothalamus. Anything that has to do with let me drink, okay? Anything that has to do with hormone as well, it is the thalamus. Hormone secretion is the thalamus. Anything that has to do with the skin and every other thing basically is the thalamus. Digestion as well is the thalamus. And so now we're going to be looking at the midbrain. The midbrain is a small part of the brain. It connects the forebrain to the hindbrain. Connect the forebrain to the hindbrain. It is a site of vision. Why? Because it has the optic lobe. It has the optic lobe. Optic lobe is a part that runs down to the eye. So it's a site of vision. The hindbrain is connected. The hindbrain together with the midbrain controls automatic involuntary activities. Hindbrain together with the midbrain controls automatic involuntary activities. So what are the special parts of the hindbrain? They have the cerebellum, the pons valvuli, and the medulla oblongata. The cerebellum is meant for posture and is meant for muscle action and posture. It receives impulses from the auditory nerve in the ear and from the nose as well. Then we have the pons valvuli. The pons valvuli connect the lateral hemispheres together. And lastly, we have the medulla. The medulla controls many voluntary activities ranging from heartbeat to respiration. Involuntary activities and medulla controls. You don't forget the seat of intelligence is called the seat of intelligence is called the cerebrum. Don't forget, the seat of intelligence is called the cerebrum. The sites for involuntary actions like that has to do with respiration, it has to do with breathing. Basically, we call them what beating of the heartbeat. We call them involuntary action, and the medulla is in charge of that. The medulla also controls the constriction and the dilation of the blood vessels. So it regulates the amount of blood that is passing per unit time. And so now we're basically going to be looking at the spinal cord and some other parts. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at the spinal cord as well as the peripheral nervous system. The spinal cord is made up of soft tissue. It runs from the medulla oblongata down to the tail region at the back. It runs from the medulla oblongata down to the tail region. It is surrounded by the vertebral column. It is surrounded by the vertebral column. It consists of thousands of neurons. It has 3 membranes covering it. One of the membranes are meninges. We have neural canal, we have spinal canal. The spinal canal is surrounded by a fluid called the cerebrospinal fluid. It is called the cerebrospinal fluid. It's a fluid that surrounds the spinal cord. It helps in a cushioning effect. It helps in lubrication as well. The spinal cord has an extension called the spinal nerve. The spinal cord contains the gray and the white matter. And the spinal cord controls reflex action like knee jerk. And most of you, when you're sleeping, you do stuff like this. Knee jerk. It's controlled by the spinal cord, and involuntary reflexes like sweating is also controlled by the spinal cord. Lastly, the spinal cord is the pathway or the link between the spinal nerve and the brain. The brain and the spinal nerve, the pathway or the link is called the spinal cord. So now we're going to be looking at the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system, as we said earlier, is broadly subdivided. The peripheral nervous system, as we said earlier, is subdivided into the somatic and the autonomic nervous system. And so for the peripheral nervous system, all nerves outside the brain and the spinal cord are the peripheral nervous system. All nerves outside the brain and the spinal cord are the peripheral nervous system. It basically has 2 nerves, 2 special nerves. They are called the spinal nerves and the cranial nerves. They are called the spinal nerves and the cranial nerves. The spinal nerves is actually connected to the head. The spinal nerve connects itself to the body, rather. The spinal nerve connects itself to the body. It connects itself to the body, while the cranial nerve connects itself to the head. Cranial nerve connects itself to the head, while the spinal nerve connects itself to the body. Now it is basically subdivided into 2, somatic and autonomic. Now let's look at the somatic nervous system. It controls voluntary actions. It has 12 cranial nerves and 31 spinal nerves. It has 12 cranial nerves and 31 spinal nerves. Now two of these cranial nerves, which are the optic nerve and the auditory nerve. Optic nerve for the eyes and the auditory nerve for the ear. Now these 2 nerves they possess only sensory nerve. They have just sensory function, and they lack motor function. They have just sensory function, and we have 31 spinal nerve. Now for the autonomic nervous system, it controls the body involuntary actions. The involuntary actions of the body, like heartbeat, digestion, respiration, basically it controls them. It has sensory and motor nerve. A sensory nerve will send information to the head. Motor nerve will send information to the other part of the body. Then we have the autonomic nervous system is subdivided into the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic stimulates many parts of the body in times of danger. It's even responsible for the stimulation of the adrenaline, which is called emergency hormone. It connects the internal organ of the sympathetic nervous system is connected to the lumbar and the thoracic vertebrae. The thoracic vertebrae is found in the chest region. The lumbar is found in the upper abdominal region. Don't forget, thoracic chest region, lumbar is in the upper abdominal region. For the parasympathetic nervous system, it has 10 cranial nerve. It is the internal structure is connected to the 10th cranial nerve. Recall, we have 12 cranial nerve, so it is connected to the 10th cranial nerve and the sacra. The sacra is found in the hip region. It returns the body to the normal state. During sympathetic nervous system, where there is an alertness for danger, the pupil dilates. Every part of there is increase in heartbeat. Boom, boom, boom. You know, as if tip is coming. Boom, boom. Now, what will return it back to the original position or the original state is the parasympathetic nervous system. We're going to continue our class, and we're going to be looking at the neuron as the unit of the nervous system.